just out for our January 2024 camp trip. Backpacked in a little bit. Nothing too exciting to make a special camping video out of. Just kind of a short trip, and it's not really all that wintry. It's definitely winter higher up on the mountain, but lower down here on the mountain is definitely, we've had a warm up after our cold spell. So we had our below zero cold spell. We did some gear testing with that. All that information will be in a different video. Yes, I survived down to negative 23 degree temps camping in my tent, which is a 3-season tent, not a winter tent. But more on that in a different video. So we camped out last night. Our low was probably around, I would say 28 to 30. Had a little frost this morning, and not bad. And where we're at, we've had enough warm up and melt off that we have mostly bare ground. So sun is shining, blue skies, beautiful day, and we are enjoying it. It's the very tail end of January, 30th and yesterday, 31st today. So tomorrow is February. So awesome camp trip for January. Totally wasn't expecting it. So I am going to go over what I sleep in to stay warm, both my layers and my bedding setup. I am a colder sleeper, colder than Jamie in general. She brings less. We'll cover that another time too. But for now, I'm just gonna go over what I use to stay warm, because I know people with the cold temps, especially when I was below zero, kind of wondering, what do you do to stay warm? And if you haven't done cold weather camping, then I know you have questions about what to take, what to wear, what to use for sleeping. And there's a lot of videos out on the internet. This is not any expert opinion. It's just what I do, my experience, and what I've adapted with over time. Anytime for cold weather stuff, when it comes to camping, I always gear test in my yard at home first, because I know if what I'm trying out doesn't work for me, I can bail inside and then refigure it out and try again. And that way I'm not taking more than what I need out into the mountains. But I also know I'm taking enough to be comfortable, not just survive. So here we go. I've got, to start with, I've got for my upper layers, I've got my base shirt, which is kind of it's a little bit of a mid-weight, what do I want to say, a mid-weight base layer, long sleeve. And then over the top of that, I've got a hoodie, and it's kind of a thinner one, but fairly warm. Then I've got a thin vest, and on top of that, I have my pretty thin, it's a synthetic jacket. So that's kind of my upper layers. I do have a fleece zip up mid layer that I can put on in between these when it's ultra cold. But generally speaking, I don't wear that. I don't want too much. And so I have that as an extra layer available, but it goes into a bag that goes under my feet, because I have a shorter air pad where my feet will hang off sometimes a little bit if I'm laying on my stomach. So I put some things at the end there where my air pad is not. So I'll explain that in a little bit too. And then for my bottom layer, I have some just mid-weight leggings, long johns, thermals, whatever you want to call them. And then I've got the same thing as my jacket. I've got a synthetic, like, puffy pants. They are not down. I chose to not have down on these because if they get damp, they get wet some, I still want them to keep me warm. Down doesn't do as well with being warm when it's wet, and it takes longer to dry. This stuff dries out amazingly fast. So then for my feet, what I will do is kick off my shoes and my daytime socks, and I put on, I don't know what all you can see on the camera here. I put on fleece sock. The fleece sock is really nice, holds in warmth. It doesn't have the compression that a lot of socks have now, so that's good for sleeping. And then I have my puffy booties, but again, they're not down. They are synthetic, so that way if they gets to be any wetness, then they're not an issue. So I put those on, and I always kind of have a little something here so I'm not getting muddiness, and I don't track the muddiness into my tent and my sleeping stuff. So change out of those. I usually hang my socks in the tent to dry out. There's usually a little dampness, so usually I'll hang those in the tent out of the way to dry overnight so they're ready for morning. And then I have my fingerless mitts I use a lot of times, and then I have my other mittens. I don't wear them all night, but I will after I've been fooling around with all my stuff getting into my sleeping arrangement. My fingertips will get cold from handling all the cold stuff, especially between the cold air and everything being cold. My fingertips will be cold when I actually get tucked in, so then I'll warm them up and then I'll take them off. Or if sometimes I'm sleeping with my arms outside and my fingers will get cold, then I'll put them on for sleeping. So I keep those nearby, and I'll move the camera in a little bit closer view so you can see my bed stuff. Okay, so now I've got all my layers on, I've got my puffy booties on, and now I'll show you what I do for my bedding. So I've got, let's see, do this out here maybe. I've got the very bottom, I've got my Thinsulate pad, Thin Light, Thinsulate, I don't remember, something like that. I got it from Gossamer Gear. It's eighth of an inch, so very thin. A lot of people use a thicker closed cell foam pad. That's what I added to it for the below zero temps. But at 0 and above, this is what I'm doing. So that, I think it's a Thin Light. I think they call it a Thin Light pad. Then I put on an emergency blanket, the reflective, on there to reflect for body heat above and keep the cold down below, because you don't want that cold coming through. If you're getting cold through your underneath, it doesn't matter how much you put on top, you're going to be cold. So it's important to have enough underneath you from that frozen ground, whether you're on snow or just frozen ground. You need that warmth from underneath. And then I have my air pad, which is I think a 4.5 R value, if I remember right. It doesn't say on it, but so I got that air pad. I'll go over some of more particulars another time. Then I have, it's an insulated air pad. That's important to know. The regular just simple air pads are for summer use, not for cold weather. It is a insulated air pad. And then Big Agnes, I believe. And then I have for one of my quilts, my 25-degree quilt, I have, it's a Zenbivy system, and they have a sheet that goes onto the air pad. With that, it's got these little wings and attaches to that. So I'll show you that in a bit. We've got the other thing I found that really adds warmth for me is just a really thin fleece throw. Nothing special, not backpacking gear, just a simple fleece throw that you buy just about anywhere. Fold it in half, and I lay that on top of my air pad, and I found that made it feel a lot warmer when I was still feeling cold with the air pad. So the other thing with the air pad is make sure you don't blow it up all the way. All the way I found is not very comfortable. Leave a little bit of squish to it. So little squish, then the fleece blanket, and then I have my 0-degree quilt that I got from Enlightened Equipment. This I've had for quite some time. It doesn't have the loops to match with the Zenbivy system. I'll probably add those another time for when I'm using this only. But so you can open them up all the way, which is what I like about a quilt, but they also have the toe box. So I did up the toe box for it, and then I have this in here, and then I put that inside of my Zenbivy. This is a 0-degree quilt. This is a 25-degree quilt, and I put the toe box inside the other toe box. Both of them are all done up, all closed up. And then I have, I'll show my foot system in a bit when I can move the camera again, but it has these wings on both sides, and you hook these on, and it's really simple. I really like their system with this. You just hook those on, and there's another one up here closer, but basically what it does for the quilts is because you got the toe box that comes up, and then it kind of keeps that draft from coming in when you're moving around in the quilt. I move around a lot, so that's why I like the quilts better. And when you're moving, then that closes up that drafty spot. So that's that. And then it's got it on both sides. You do it on both sides. And then, let's see, it looks like this is coming undone in the way. So you just get inside both of those. And get all tucked in. Close that over, and I am puffy, toasty, warm. Okay, so move this out of the way. I'll show you what I do for my pad system for my feet, because my sleeping pad's not long enough and my feet hang over sometimes, especially when I'm on my stomach. Then I just, have a couple of my bags that I took my other stuff out of. I throw in, my rain jacket, any tent bags, stuff like that. Gives them kind of a cushy padness to it to keep my feet from contacting directly with that frozen cold ground. My extra, fleece shirt, my skirt I took off when I changed to my my puffy pants, things like that. So just any extra stuff, whether it be extra clothing or extra bags and stuff, I just put in there, make sure it's squishy, kind of flatten it down. And underneath that I also have a bubble, just a simple little bubble mailer. I used one from getting something in the mail, and it's just a nice size I like. I use for a sit pad in the winter, even in my day pack I'll take it, and it works good on the snow or cold wet rocks and things, the ground when you're sitting down. So you can kind of use it opened up, fold it however many times you want for how much thickness. So I put that down too, and I have the reflective emergency blanket. It's long enough it extends, so I make sure it extends for my feet. Put that pad down there. Once I'm done using it, around the campfire or wherever, then I just slip it underneath. Throw these couple bags of things here, or a single bag sometimes, whatever I have, depending on what I have left over. I just kind of put it in there, pat that down, and then my sleeping quilts just go over the top there. And then I'll show you what I do with my head. So I got this pillow. This pillow is amazing, and I'll show you more about that. It really packs down small. It's decently lightweight. For me, it's worth it because I've tried the thing of the extra layers for using for a pillow, and it just doesn't cut it for me. I gotta have a pillow. I'm a side sleeper, stomach sleeper. I toss and turn, and I found I would get a really bad neck ache sometimes when I didn't have a pillow. So this is amazing. And with this hood, it just slips underneath the hood. You can sleep on top of it when it's warmer, and it still keeps your pillow from falling off, which happens a lot on an air pad. if you don't have. So the hood holds it in place, sleep on top. When it's cold, you can tuck your head underneath. So what I do is I sleep with usually my hood up, and then I'll put up my puffy hood, and then, like I say, you can sleep on top, got that pillow, it's really nice. But when it's cold, you can be tucked into quilts and do up the little flap there, like I say, which holds it all in place and keeps those drafts out. When it's warmer, it's nice to just have open. But so you can be all tucked in, and then when it's really cold, you tuck in underneath here, tuck in, you just get really closed in, and then a little air opening, so you can really close in and just make that air opening very minimal for breathing in, breathing out that moisture. But yeah, definitely that's my system. And I found that this system right here with what I'm using keeps me warm and toasty down to at least 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I should clarify, I know that we're kind of the odd ones out, but I'm in the United States and we use Fahrenheit. I know most of the world uses Celsius, so sometimes I forget to clarify that, and that can lead to confusion. But that is down to 0 Fahrenheit. And below 0, I haven't actually tested this without the extra closed cell foam pad. That's about, I don't know, I haven't measured it, but about like that, probably about a ½ inch. That one I put under when I knew we were going sub-zero because I wanted to make sure I was warm. I haven't actually tested out sub-zero without using that as extra. But this system right here did take me down into single digits, pretty close to 0. So I know I was warm enough. 0 would have been fine. So that's it for those that have been wondering and asking me. I know at the gym I get people asking me, you do winter camping, what do you take? So this is just an answer to that. There's lots of stuff on the internet. I know all kinds of YouTube videos, people that do more intense winter stuff than I do so far. I'm still working my way into doing more and more. We have been on snow. There's not snow around in these pictures much, just a few little patches that you probably aren't even seeing in the video. So it is January, it is winter, there's snow up on the mountain. We have snow at our house still right now, but we're at a place near the bottom of the mountain. That's literally on the bottom of the mountain, past private property, and it's in Forest Service, and it's a section that's melted off because when we get the inversions in the bottom of the valley, this kind of going up higher gets above that inversion. It's not quite as cold. We've had warmer days, and this is the area that gets some sunshine that's been helping to melt it off, whereas at our house we have a lot of trees and the sun is not melting it off very much yet. So even though we still have some snow down in the valley, we've got a little spot here where we decided, hey, let's go have a little spring camping, even though the temp's still getting below 0. So oftentimes in the mountains it gets below 0 Fahrenheit, or not, sorry, not below 0, below freezing. Last night, just barely, and that's pretty common in the spring anyway. So this really feels like a spring backpack trip instead of winter, but it's January, so you never know. We're gonna turn around and have winter here soon again, shortly. But I'll end this video for now and see you in the next one, and watch for more gear tips. Gear tips, again, just what I do. No one way that's right or wrong. Different people do different things, and it's all about finding what works for you. So it's that thing of testing things out, watching what different people use, see what makes sense to you. And I've collected stuff over time. I didn't get everything all in one shot. I shop sales, and yeah, so just hope this helps for some of you asking me questions.